Look at that hot rod right there. That's what I'm talking about. 96 Buick Roadmaster. Picked this thing up about 2 years ago. It was sitting in a woman's driveway for like 7 years, I think. Paid $500 for it. The whole intentions of this purchase was to have a super cheap and simple foot brake bracket car. I got a S10 that probably end up making videos about later, that I race some, not regularly, but it's a back half. Got a 1432 tire on the back, runs on alcohol, just a standard back half sportsman truck, runs 640s. Super cool, have fun with it, but I wanted something that was cheap, simple, runs on pump gas, and that's what I landed on right here, a 96 Roadmaster. By no means would I say this is the ideal platform to want to go drag racing with, but for the price, it worked out. And I just wanted to show what I got going on here with it, where it sits right now. And I do plan on making some changes down the road, but for the moment, this is what we got. We're rolling with. So I'll start by saying it's an 8th mile car only. The tracks around me is all 8th mile bracket racing, so that's what it's geared for. So when you hear that it's got a 513 rear gear in it, keep in mind it only runs 8th mile. No quarter mile stuff will be happening with this car. But yeah, no, we'll get into it. It's a LT1 car, iron heads, bone stock engine. It has, I think, 130,000 miles on it. But I've done absolutely nothing to it engine-wise so far. We wanted to see how quick we could get it to go just all stock, and that is it. The high-performance engine, man, that's what I'm talking about. Like I said, bone stock, and I've done absolutely nothing to it. Valve covers haven't even ever came off. It is truly how it would be when your grandma drove this to church on Sundays. But it got headers on it. The ones here on the driver's side, they look a little rough. Again, keep in mind, keeping this car cheap and simple, I got those things for free. Those are actually a Chevy 2 or 66, 67 Chevy 2 fender well headers that I cut. I only had to cut the number 7 pipe and rework that one around the master cylinder, but it misses the steering shaft and clears everything. Works out great. Here on the passenger side, I made those myself. Just a jegs header, weld them yourself kit. Nothing fancy. Those things actually weigh a lot because it's not header tubing, but it's actually like exhaust tubing, so way thicker and heavier than you would expect. But keeping it simple. It just has a stock alternator on it. I relocated that. If you know anything about LT cars, the alternator actually sits up here on the valve, or up near the valve cover. That's what that cutout is right there. And if you ever had to pull the valve cover, well, you got to pull the alternator. And in my opinion, that's a pretty piss poor design. So I just took the, turn the light on here, if you can see that. Just took the stock alternator and cut the whole accessory bracket and bolted that in where the AC compressor would go. So the tensioner is still in the stock location, but now the alternator is where the AC compressor would be. So that's the only thing running. I did have to, if you can see that right there, yeah, cut the frame a little bit to get it to clear. It's really close to the control arm, but it clears. So that's all we're really worried about here. But engine-wise, that is it. It does have bigger injectors than factory. They're a 36-pound injector. I got those out of the junkyard that's next to me. I think I paid, I don't know, maybe $50 for this set of them. Took them over to my friend's house. We floated them on his injector machine. They all flowed fine. They work great for cheap injectors. Reason I did have to go with bigger, the factory ones were running out. They were hitting 100% duty cycle at wide open throttle. So it wasn't going to last forever. These were a cheap alternative. They work great. Again, that's all that's done with the engine. Nothing more. So with maybe 250 horsepower is what this thing's putting out. And in my opinion, it does pretty well for what it is, for being completely gutless when it comes to horsepower. What I've done on the front, these wheels that are on it now, those are actually off my S10. Those cost more than what I paid for the entire car. If you know anything about the B bodies, they actually have a 5-on-5 bolt pattern for the wheel. The wheels that I had was a 5-on-4 3/4. The way I got around that was doing a little digging on the internet. I think it was an '88 IROC Camaro had the same rotor and hub that goes on the spindle that this Buick has. And in order, by switching that, I was able to get my 5-on-4 3/4 bolt pattern that I needed. So it's got 5-on-4 3/4 on the front, and it's still got the stock 5-on-5 in the back, spray painted gold with a 10-inch slick on it. It's just trying to keep it cheap and simple. No need to buy wheels for it when the stock ones work. The front end, well, let me got my Rosso trick springs on the front. Those are for, I think it was a 72 to 79 Camaro, if I think. I don't remember 100% sure. They got the part number on them, but those were the only springs that I could find that were the correct height and would fit in the car. So Camaro springs in the front. It's got a Calvert 9010 shock off my S10 on it. Used shocks. Yeah, for the purpose of this car, it separates the front pretty good. And can definitely throw the weight for a car that weighs 4,000 pounds. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Don't think is the car weighs quite a bit. I mean, it's still full interior. Just got a tap on the dash, cheetah shifter. It does have a Turbo 400 underneath. You can see right there. I did X the frame because these cars, from basically the front fender to where the rear door closes, is just C-frame. It's not boxed. So the thing's got a ton of body roll and will jack the left front up and just throw all the weight on the right rear. That Xing the frame helped significantly with that. It still does it, but nowhere near as bad as what it was before. It does have a mid plate in it. Put that in it when I put the transmission in. Got new motor mounts. Nothing fancy. Again, stock engine. It's actually a stock Turbo 400. Has the stock valve body that's in it. I've watched a guy on YouTube. I think it was Mountain Transmissions. I apologize. I'm sure I got the name wrong, but he's got a pretty cool series showing how you can take a stock 400 with a stock valve body in it and actually make it fully manual. So that's what I got going on here, and it seems to hold up. I got that transmission for free, so you can see there where I tied in the X's. They hit the mounts that the lower four links are on, and really stiffened that up, because when I put those lower bars in, you could actually grab that bracket on the frame with your hand and flex it. The thing's got no support whatsoever. That's one of the things I learned, and the reason I X'd it was before I put those lower bars in. The top bars are still factory, just the stamped steel ones with rubber bushings. The lower ones are solid with steel insert or heim joints. Helped a ton, but before I did that, the car would flex so much in the rear that it was driving the rear crooked in the car, and the inside of the tire on the driver's side was actually hitting the frame and cut the sidewall of the tire. So that was something I learned. Definitely needed to stiffen the frame and put solid bars on the rear. It still needs solid bars on the top. Haven't gotten to that point yet, but we will eventually. Again, like I said, 513 rear, stock brakes, stock drums on the brake on the rear. Nothing fancy whatsoever. Let's see. Get back here. Really nothing to see back here. It does have airbags. I put those in it because I thought I was going to need that to help with the roll of the car. To be honest, I've never even used them. I put them in there. I've never put air in them. So they may help. I don't know. Haven't gotten to the point of trying just because the sway bar, I didn't have the sway bar on the front of the car originally, and I put that back on and made a world of a difference on helping. But on the back, it's just got a 2810 tire. I tried fitting a 10.5 tire on it, but there's not enough clearance between the skirt and the actual frame. And if you look, can't get you to focus. Oh yeah, a little bit. You can see where I cut the frame to try and make the 10.5 inch tire fit, but it wasn't enough. It would still rub on the inside and outside of the sidewall. So I got stuck using a 10-inch tire. Those things are used. Who knows? I got them for free. They're probably about 10 years old, it seems like, but for the low horsepower that this car has, it does just fine. It's not hurting anything right now. The plan is to eventually put a 383 in it, because I do already have a block that's bored. Still staying LT1, still staying fuel injected. It's actually being managed on a 411, LS 411 ECU, which if you don't know how those work, there's a group on Facebook, 411 LT1, I think is what it is. Check them out. Works great. It eliminates the factory ECU. That way you have an LS style. You can use HP tuners to tune on it and do whatever you like. I went that route. Works really, really well for what we have here. Again, super cheap and simple car. You could build this. I mean, it's sitting in a building right now, but when I first started on this, I was building it in the driveway just because it's not worth putting inside to do work on, really. But yeah, the computer has been moved. If they normally sit up here in the front, driver's side fender well. I've moved mine under the dash. Still the stock wiring harness. I just pulled all the pins out, rewired it, cleaned it up. It's sitting under the glove box right now. But I'll look inside real quick. Got my O2 sensor hooked up. Just got back from the drag strip the other day and did a little bit of testing. My ECU's right there under the glove box. But yeah, we just got back from the drag strip the other week, or other weekend, I should say, and got this thing running the best that I think it possibly could or can, with the still having a bone stock engine in it. Got it down to 880 currently in an eighth. Again, that's all we're geared for. So it's running 880 at 77 miles an hour with a 183 60 foot. When I first got this car out to the drag strip, completely stock. So just like you would take it, driving on the road, pull into the gate and make a pass, it went a 968 in an eighth, and then played around with the timing, got it down to 950, still completely stock. At the time had the 4L60 in it and a 256 rear gear. So the thing wouldn't even, it would barely get into second gear by the time you would hit an eighth mile. Came back, that's when we put the 513 in it. Is it the ideal choice of a rear gear? Probably not, but sticking with the theme of this car and not trying to spend a ton of money, I got it for $100 on Marketplace. So whether it's the right gear or not, it turned into being the right one. Once we swapped the gear in it, it picked up 6/10. It would run 890s. 893 is what we got it to do the best at. And now took this 4L60 out because that thing was, it was on its last leg to begin with, and beating on it like I was, if we knew it wasn't going to last forever. So went ahead and pulled that out. Got a turbo 400 in it. I got that thing for free. It's got a 3800 stall converter in it. Picked that up off of Marketplace. It was like $300. Again, just trying to keep it cheap, simple, and making it work for what it is. Once we got the 400 put in it, it picked up a ton on the 60 foot. This thing will actually pull the left front wheel up, and sometimes it'll pull the right front up when leaving the line. And that's just foot braking it. That's leaving at idle and just nailing the gas. I don't stall it up any. I know some people do. I don't. It's just my style of driving. But with the 400, that's when it picked it up from it was like 199, 2 flat 60 foot to now a 183, and running 880 at 77 miles an hour. And what I mean by the thing just don't have enough engine in it anymore to pull it is the thing is running the same mile an hour in the eighth with the turbo 400 and a 10th and a half quicker 60 foot as it was with the 4L60 and the 513. So we've reached this limit on engine, which we knew that was going to run into eventually. The whole plan all along was to put a 383. Again, that thing's I got a bunch of used parts going in that. It's used rods, pistons. The only thing new is the crank. It's going to have just aluminum LT1 heads on it, not even ported, small camshaft, just enough to get a little more RPM out of it to work with that rear gear and just go enjoy it for what it is. Super, super simple car. Nothing extravagant on this thing. And it works for what it is. Like I said, the whole intent of this car was to have something that I wouldn't say that you don't necessarily care about, but something that is practically zero maintenance. You put it on the open trailer, stop at the gas station, put 93 in it, go to the track and have fun. So that's what we got here. We're gonna keep making some videos with it, just playing around, seeing what it'll do, and keep you along for the ride. Yeah, that's what we got right here. That's my super simple bracket car. Hope y'all like it. Even if you don't, it don't bother me. I like it. It's pretty cool car in a way. Kind of an ugly car. So sorry to anybody else that out there has a Roadmaster. I don't think you could do anything to make them look cool, but hey, for $500, it's a perfect drag car. So